Hey guys, welcome back to this week's Sister Scoop, where we're covering the big three topics in Marvel news. We're going to get right into it as we're talking about more information coming out on Fantastic Four First Steps.
Yeah, definitely super exciting, knowing that the film is a little bit more than 6 months away. Actually, I guess closer to 8 months away. Exciting to see that we're getting a synopsis. I don't really feel like it gave us a lot more than what we kind of already knew, but I feel like the synopsis is kind of the first step. We've gotten maybe a little bit of a teaser, bare bones teaser, shared illegally after one of the after one of the cons. So we love that. But now we've gotten the official trailer, or teaser, so maybe there is like an official teaser coming soon. I could see it being dropped maybe around the time of Cap 4. You know how they like to drop those and then you get to go see it in the theater. So that's what, like 3 months, less than 3 months away. I could see that kind of being the timing. This is kind of that first step there. Again, not a ton of new information, except I will point out one article I was reading talked about that last line where they talk about it being or getting really personal. Maybe that's a hint that Doctor Doom is in fact in the film, and I liked that kind of reasoning. But other than that, and that's just conjecture, other than that, nothing, mind blowing that we didn't kind of already know.
Yeah, and I think I read as well that it wraps filming within the next few weeks.
Yeah.
So, which feels kind of crazy.
Yes.
I mean, was it not just this February where we found out who the cast actually was? So I think that is really crazy to me. I mean, that isn't necessarily to say they didn't already have the script and everything else ready and they were like, okay, let's go. But that is kind of insane to sit there and realize this movie should be wrapped by the end of the year. So yeah, I think the timing, kind of what you were saying with Cap 4 makes sense. That's what exactly mid-February. So I would think that makes sense with 2. You got the holidays. We have What If, that's going to be a huge thing December. So makes sense. Not a lot that we know other than, to your point, but the leaked footage, I guess we'll just see. That's really all you could say.
Yeah, other than I'm super excited and I just continue to be absolutely thrilled that this is marching closer and that we're getting tiny Paquito details. I'm so excited.
I'm also very excited. I've been seeing Pedro and it's Quinn. What is his first name? From Stranger Things.
Joseph Quinn.
Thank you. I knew it started with a J. I wanted to say John. I was like, that is not right. I've been seeing them because they've been on their Gladiator 2 press tours. So that's been pretty nice too, because they have been getting asked about Fantastic Four. And I think that's actually how we learned it was wrapping soon, or at least I did, was because they were talking about pretty much being nonstop together for the past 2 or 3 years. But it's been great to see them together. And I'm excited also for the press tours from this movie because they seemingly have a really good relationship. So it'd be nice to see what the whole cast looks like together.
Oh, for sure. It's going to be such a good time right before Comic-Con. I mean, it's the comic fans' dream.
A first family, right?
Oh, yeah. They're special.
All right. Well, moving on to our next thing. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about half of it. Let's
I'm
clarify.
excited about the other half.
Well, ripping the Band-Aid off. Eternals and the Inhumans are not necessarily off the table for Marvel. One, how could the Eternals be off the table when you made a movie already about them? Like, I don't really see how that's possible, but whatever. That's whatever. And the Inhumans, I'm only half shocked. No, I'm more than half shocked. I'm shocked because we did a whole thing, I'm pretty sure, around Secret Invasion when we were talking about the Kree and all the stuff with, why am I blanking on what Quake is? She is an Inhuman.
Yeah.
The mutants, because I get those all mixed up. Yes. Because they're like the same thing, just with a different title and with Terrigen crystals. Yes, exactly. Okay. But like, we did a whole conversation about why it doesn't really make sense to really ever need to bring the Inhumans in. Well, maybe that's not true.
Yeah, I mean, look, D23 Brazil is the gift that keeps on giving. Like, let's talk about that, because everything I think that came out of last week's Sister Scoop, D23 Brazil, this piece as well, Kevin talking about it. Look, I think the Eternals, with its mixed reviews, definitely was a little bit of a question mark. I like that they're not writing it off completely. I do think that there's a lot of interesting stories to be told with those characters. That cast was stacked. Do not waste Angelina Jolie. She came, she ate,
dude,
she conquered.
Dude.
Don't
even get me started on my feelings about Thena, okay?
We know. We all listened to the episode or were a part of it. We know. But I will say, like, I'm very glad that Kevin's not completely saying, no, we're done. We're shelving them because that film didn't go well. I hope that they find a creative way to bring them back and continue telling those stories with those characters. I also think, having Blade's voice at the end of the end credit with Black Knight and all of that, like, don't do another like Mordo end credit scene. Please let it pay off.
Yeah.
I would enjoy that very, very much. But moving into my most exciting piece was the Inhumans, of course. I actually watched the show. I didn't hate it. I think that their storylines are fascinating. The fact that they have their own royal family and this whole culture and everything about them, I think is so interesting. And I know that that whole show was kind of a debacle. But again, like, you had different people running it. It was not a shared universe in the intentional way that it is now. And I know they were basically created because they lost the rights to the mutants in, on the big screen, and this was their answer to that. And you also just took away Kamala Khan as one, which is super annoying. But there are so many options still, stories to be told. And I just think to sideline an entire, group of enhanced individuals simply because you got the rights back to the X-Men, they can live together in the same world. In fact, shocker, they do in the comics. I don't know how much they cross over, but there are Inhumans comics at the same time that there are X-Men comics. I don't see why they're mutually exclusive. We also have seen Black Bolt back, obviously in MOM, which I think is giving a lot of credence to the idea that, hey, maybe we're not totally done. Again, net, I love this update. I think that we should never be saying, no, this whole group of characters, that whole group of characters, they're done. There are 1,000 stories to be told. There are many mediums in which to tell them. We should never be completely writing them off. And I'm glad Kevin set the record straight.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that way, specifically about the Eternals, because, again, literally love them. Also, you brought Harry Styles into that movie.
That too.
And just like
make them pay off.
Yeah, you just were like, oh, and anyway, I'm like, what? Okay, sure, but like, I just, but I just that in itself annoyed me. Also, like, really, you got to give in to the people who like don't understand actual like plots of a movie. I love a good superhero movie. Obviously, this is what this is all about, but like, the point was this movie wasn't just to be a superhero movie, and they did it beautifully. So like, I hate to be that person, but if that's the only standard you were holding it to, that's on you. That's not on the director or the writers or anybody else.
Superhero movies can exist within multiple genres. We've seen them done in horror. We've seen them done in just straight up superhero. We've seen other ones that I can't think of at the moment. But what we have seen overall is that you can have different types of plots, different types of styles, and still have superhero characters. That is, everybody wants to complain about the formula until they deviate from the formula, and then they run around like chickens with their heads cut off. Like, pick one. You can't have them both. This is dumb.
Yeah, I have my complaints. We could actually probably do a whole episode on it. But
probably.
As for the Inhumans, I guess my only thing is it's going to be interesting because the mutants are kind of around the corner.
Yeah.
I do think we were kind of thinking they'd avoid doing them at the same time just because, again, from the outsider's point of view, does it make sense to do two groups that are very similar in certain ways at the same exact time? Plus, let's be real, guys. If I told anybody on the street to name a mutant / an X-Man, like, they could. If I did
There's definitely a star pupil. I mean, there's a teacher's pet, there's a favorite for sure.
But I'm just saying, like, imagine if I did it to people as I was like, name an Inhuman, and they'd be like, what? Are you saying? So I'm just saying, I do think there's a favorite, and we know what it is. So I would be anxious to see how they do it, when they do it. If they do like a whole TV show, I don't think I care. Just maybe give it some time before they wrap it into everything. Kind of like just like
fine.
Netflix in general, like how Daredevil had 3 seasons before, obviously for other reasons, but like almost like that. I could do it. But we're running out of time, and I really need to talk about this last one because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't pick these topics, and T did. And as soon as I saw this one, I was like, "Oh my god!"
She did have a little meltdown over text. It was actually pretty funny.
Well, rumor has it, Madelyn Cline from Outer Banks, my friends. Yes, we all know who she is. Could be in Spider-Man 4. And naturally, my first reaction was, "Oh, so she's Black Cat."
That seems to be the running theory. Yeah.
I didn't even need to look it up. I was like, it's her.
You didn't. But that is super exciting. I mean, the articles I was reading pointed out that we have had Felicias in the past. I believe Toby's had a Felicia. She never actualized into or, developed into the Black Cat alter ego. I would love, that is something that neither of the other two trilogies or the other two franchises have done. I would love to see it. This Tom's led franchise has always been trying to find ways to differentiate itself from the prior two. This is a great opportunity to do that with a character who's freaking awesome. I've never seen Outer Banks, but I know a lot of people really like it. I know there are some shows that
honestly,
people...
though, after season 4, maybe don't. I don't know.
I know the spoilers, so I do know. Like that, honestly, I was like, maybe I'll watch it. And then I saw that and I was like, maybe I won't. Anyway.
Yeah.
She seems like a good actress. I think she would, do really well across from a Tom. And I think that their, banter and the really playful kind of antagonistic relationship that Peter and Felicia have could come across really well between the two of them. So I'm here for it. I really like it. The more we find out about Spider-Man 4, the more I'm excited. I also think this makes it seem less like a multiversal film if you're going for some of his more traditional, characters that are in the comics that are on the lower street level. It to me seems a little less like he's gonna go after a Null and do King in Black or something like that.
Yeah.
So this is also an exciting update on that front. Yay for street level Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited because, to your point, we never saw Felicia really come all the way into the Black Cat role. Well, we never saw her at all come into the Black Cat role in Andrews. So, I'm sorry, I think you were saying Toby's, but it was Andrews.
Was it?
I was going to correct you, and I was like, am I wrong? No, it was fully The Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, as the second one, she was it the second one?
No, because
it was the one Harry. No, because she's Harry's assistant. Anyway, not important. Trust me when I say I'm right.
But then Toby does have one because Bryce Dallas Howard played her.
No, she plays Gwen Stacy, but good for you for recalling that properly. Wow.
It's been a few years since I've seen them.
Wow.
We did that episode 3 years ago.
Just pick yourself up and move on. It's okay.
Yikes.
That was embarrassing.
Yeah, it was. Sorry, guys.
I love Madelyn Cline. I think she'd be cool in this role. I also think, let's not forget, Sydney Sweeney was a huge name attached to possibly playing this as well. Huge fan casting. And while I love her, she wasted her ability to do that, I feel like, in Madam Web.
Yeah,
and now characters have done it. Look at the most recent Venom. We've had a couple characters come from the MCU into that role. I'm looking at you, who plays Mordo.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
I knew I was not going to say that correctly, so I just was. But exactly, we've seen it happen. It could, but if they want to do more with that franchise, they're not going to allow her to do that. That's a conflict of interest, obviously. But I love Madelyn Cline, and I would love to see more of her, and I'd love to see her in the MCU. So that being said, also, we all know how I feel about Black Cat, i.e. look at my Halloween costume last year. Just saying. Just saying. But yes, those are the updates for this week. We will be back next week for more Marvel news. So just stay tuned. Come back to the YouTube channel, subscribe, do what you got to do. And also go check out the podcast. We just finally wrapped up doing some of we're wrapping up doing some of our Venom stuff. Going back to Agatha soon. And then What If? Well, Craven and What If? There's a lot happening still. So make sure you're checking out the podcast as well. And we'll be back next week with more Marvel news. See ya.